The royal ship Silver Dawn moved silently through deep space. Its white gold hull reflected distant stars as it traveled through a peaceful trade route. Inside, the mood was calm. Guards stood at their posts. Diplomats reviewed documents. The princess of the Aurelian Star Kingdom sat near the viewing glass, watching the stars drift by. She had never seen war. She had never needed to. That would change in minutes. The ambush without warning, the ship's alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the halls. Incoming fire, the ship shook violently as energy blasts tore through its shields. The comm shattered instantly. Crew members were thrown to the floor. The lights flickered. Outside, dark ships emerged from hyperspace, sleek, sharp, and deadly. Raiders. The kind that left no survivors. The bridge erupted into chaos. Shields down to 40%. They're locking weapons. Before anyone could react, a boarding blast tore through the side of the ship. Smoke flooded the corridor. Metal screamed as it twisted open. Alien soldiers poured in, tall, armored, moving with brutal precision. The royal guards rushed forward. They didn't last 10 seconds. Energy blades cut through armor. Plasma rounds burned through shields. One by one, the guards fell. The princess screamed as a body hit the floor in front of her. She tried to run. She didn't get far. A tall raider grabbed her arm and dragged her back. She struggled, terrified, heart racing. Then a gunshot echoed. The raider's head snapped back and he collapsed. The princess froze. A human stood in the smoke. He was bleeding. The human, his name was Elias Vorn. He was not royal. He was not noble. He was only hired as extra ship security, a human contractor brought along because humans were known for being stubborn and cheap. No one expected him to matter. His left arm hung uselessly at his side, armor burned through. Blood ran down his sleeve. His face was pale, jaw clenched in pain, but his eyes were steady. Behind him, more raiders charged forward. Elias raised his rifle and fired. 3 shots. 3 enemies down. He moved fast, using the walls, the corners, the smoke. He fought like someone who had nothing to lose. The princess watched in shock as the human placed himself between her and the attackers. "Stay behind me," he said without turning. His voice was calm. Another blast hit him in the side. He grunted but stayed standing. The enemy kept coming. They expected him to fall. He didn't. A stand against death, Elias fired until his weapon clicked empty. Then he grabbed a fallen enemy's blade and charged. The raiders hesitated. No species fought like this. He moved with pure will, no fear, no hesitation. Every strike was desperate but controlled. Every step pushed the enemy back. A blade pierced his side. He gasped, still standing. Another hit his shoulder, still standing. Blood soaked his uniform. The princess screamed his name, though she didn't even know it. "Run!" he shouted at her. Now she hesitated. Then the corridor exploded. Elias had triggered a power cell behind him. The blast threw everyone back. When the smoke cleared, the attackers were gone, forced to retreat before the ship systems collapsed. The silence afterward was heavy. Elias collapsed to one knee, then to the floor. The princess rushed to him, hands shaking. "You're going to die," she whispered. He looked up at her, breathing hard. "Not today." His eyes closed. Between life and death he woke to darkness, then pain, then voices. How is he alive? Human biology is unstable. Blood loss should have killed him. He tried to move. Couldn't. His eyes slowly opened. White light filled his vision. Machines hummed around him. Tubes ran into his arms. He was alive, barely. A tall figure stood at the foot of the bed. Elegant, calm, powerful, the Queen of Aurelia. Her eyes studied him closely, not with fear, but curiosity. "So," she said softly, "you are the human who refused to die." Elias tried to speak. His throat burned. "Did she live?" The Queen blinked once. "Yes," she answered. "My daughter is alive because of you." He closed his eyes again, relief washing over him. "Good." That was all he said. The Queen's interest doctors rushed to stop him from passing out again. The Queen raised a hand, signaling them to wait. She had seen warriors before. She had seen soldiers die for duty. But this was different. He had no oath to her, no loyalty to her world. No reason to fight, yet he had bled without hesitation. She turned to her advisors. "Who is he?" "A hired human guard," one answered. "No rank, no title, no family registered in our systems." The queen looked back at the unconscious man. "Then why did he stand?" No one answered. A dangerous truth later, in a secured chamber, the queen received a report. The attack had been planned. The raiders knew the ship's route. They knew where the princess would be. This was not random. Someone had sold them the information. Her hands tightened around the data pad. An assassination attempt. And the only reason it failed was a human who refused to die. She looked toward the medical wing. "Keep him alive," she said quietly. The advisors hesitated. "He is a liability, Your Majesty. A foreigner. He saw too much." The queen's eyes hardened. "He saved my daughter," silence followed. "Bring him under royal protection," she ordered. "No one touches him without my command." The ending moment hours later, Elias woke again. This time the pain was dull. The room was quiet. The princess sat beside his bed. She smiled when she saw his eyes open. "You're safe," she said. He looked around slowly. "Guess I didn't do a great job running." She laughed softly, then grew serious. "You didn't run at all." He tried to sit up and failed. "Then guess I did my job." She bowed her head. "Thank you for choosing to live." He frowned slightly. "I didn't choose that," he said. "I chose you." The doors opened. The queen entered. She looked down at him with something rare in her eyes, respect. "You will remain here," she said, "until you are healed." He raised an eyebrow weakly. "And after that," a pause, then, "that we will decide." Outside the room, whispers spread across the palace. The human who would not fall, the human who bled for the crown. And the one the queen would not let leave. The room was silent except for the soft hum of medical machines. Elias lay still on the bed, eyes half open, staring at the white ceiling above him. His body felt heavy, like it didn't fully belong to him anymore. Every breath burned. Every small movement sent pain through his chest, but he was alive. That alone felt strange. Across the room, two royal guards stood watch. They were tall, armored, and alert. Not once did they take their eyes off him. He shifted slightly. One of them noticed. "He's awake again," the guard said into a communicator. Moments later, the door slid open. The princess stepped inside. A different kind of silence. She walked slowly, carefully, as if afraid the floor might break beneath her feet. Her royal robes were simple today, no jewels, no crown, just soft fabric and tired eyes. She stopped beside his bed. "You should not be awake yet," she said gently. Elias gave a weak smile. "Guess I'm bad at following orders." She almost laughed, then caught herself. For a moment, neither of them spoke. He finally broke the silence. "You're safe?" "Yes," she said quickly, "because of you." He nodded once, then closed his eyes again. The princess sat down beside him. "You nearly died," she said. "The doctor said your body kept moving even when it should have shut down." "Human thing," he replied quietly. She studied him. "Why did you do it?" He opened his eyes slowly. "Do what?" "Stand your ground, fight alone, take wounds meant for others." He thought for a moment. "Because someone had to." "That is not an answer," she said. "It's the only one I have." She looked away, troubled. Whispers in the palace outside the medical wing. The palace buzzed with tension. The attack had shaken the kingdom. The nobles were furious. Some demanded answers. Others demanded blood. The name of the human spread through every hall. He saw the attackers. He heard commands. He knows too much. He's a risk. In the council chamber, voices rose. A foreign mercenary cannot be trusted. He's a weapon. He should be sent away or silenced. The queen listened quietly from her throne. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands were clenched. "You forget one thing," she said at last. The room fell silent. "He saved my daughter." No one spoke. "And while my guards fell," she continued, "he stood." She leaned forward. "Until I decide otherwise, the human remains under my protection." Some nobles looked relieved, others looked afraid. The humans' past days passed. Elias healed slowly. Each day the princess visited him. She brought food he could barely eat, water he barely tasted, and questions. "You were a soldier," she asked one evening. "Once. For your people, for whoever paid enough to keep me alive." She frowned. "You speak like life has little value." He shook his head. "Life has value, that's why I protect it." She considered that. "Did you have a family?" He went quiet. "Once." She didn't press further. Instead, she said, "You are different from the others I've met. Good or bad, human." He chuckled softly, then winced in pain. The queen's visit. The queen came on the seventh day. The guards bowed deeply as she entered. Elias tried to sit up. "Don't," she said. "You've done enough standing." She studied him closely. "You should be dead," she said calmly. "So I've been told. And yet you are not." "Guess I'm stubborn." Her lips curved slightly. "Tell me, human, did you know who my daughter was when you protected her?" "No." "Would it have changed anything?" He looked her in the eyes. "No." That answer stayed with her. "You disobeyed direct retreat orders," she said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because they were wrong." "Wrong," she repeated. "You don't leave someone behind," he said simply, "especially not someone who can't fight back." Silence filled the room. The queen exhaled slowly. "You realize," she said, "that your actions may have changed the future of this kingdom." He shrugged weakly. "Didn't think that far." A hidden threat. Later that night, alarms echoed again. Not loud, not violent, quiet, controlled, security systems triggered silently. Inside the palace walls, the queen stood from her desk. "So soon," she whispered, "the traitors had moved." At the same time, in the medical wing, Elias stirred. His instincts screamed. Something was wrong. He tried to stand. Pain shot through him. He fell back. The door opened slightly. A shadow moved inside. Not a guard, not a nurse. Elias reached for the call button, but the figure was faster. A blade glinted. "Stay still, human," a voice hissed. "This will be quick." Elias laughed weakly. "Everyone keeps saying that." The assassin lunged. Elias rolled off the bed, tearing tubes from his arm. Blood sprayed, but he grabbed the metal tray beside him and smashed it into the attacker's face. They crashed into the wall. The assassin recovered faster. A blade slashed Elias' side. He gritted his teeth and grabbed the attacker's wrist. They struggled. The door burst open. Royal guards flooded in. The assassin was taken down in seconds. Elias collapsed to his knees, gasping. The queen arrived moments later. Her eyes widened. "You again," she whispered. He looked up at her, bloodied, shaking. "Sorry," he said. "Didn't mean to cause trouble." She stared at him in disbelief. "You were unarmed. Didn't feel right dying in bed." Something in her expression changed. Not fear, not anger, respect. The decision. That night the queen called an emergency council. She stood before them, voice calm and deadly. "The attack was internal," she said. "The traitors move among us." Murmurs filled the chamber. She raised her hand, and the humans stopped them again. One noble stood. "He is a magnet for danger, or a shield," the queen replied coldly. She turned toward the guards. "Bring him." Elias was brought in on a medical chair, barely conscious. The court stared. The queen stepped down from her throne and faced him. "You have no duty here," she said. "No title, no obligation." She paused. "Yet you continue to bleed for this kingdom." Elias looked up, tired eyes meeting hers. "Someone has to." The queen straightened. "Then you will stay." Gasps filled the room. "Not as a prisoner," she continued. "Not as a servant. But as my personal protector under my direct authority." Silence. "You will have freedom, protection, and the right to leave whenever you choose." She leaned closer. "But I believe you won't." Elias gave a faint smile. "Guess you know humans better than most." The palace was quiet, but the tension in the air was heavier than ever. The corridors echoed with whispers and hurried footsteps. Guards patrolled in tighter formations, their hands resting on weapons. Every doorway, every shadow seemed suspicious. Elias sat in the healing chamber, still bandaged and weak, but alert. His injuries from the earlier attacks had healed faster than expected, thanks to advanced Aurelian medicine. Yet he knew he wasn't fully ready. Even so, something in him refused to stay idle. Outside, a quiet alarm buzzed different from the others. Not loud, not clashing with the palace's usual noise. Subtle, calculated, trained eyes would notice. Elias did. A sudden attack, he rose slowly, testing his strength. Pain shot through his ribs, but his body remembered the rhythm of combat. The same instinct that had saved the princess in the corridors of the Silver Dawn now screamed at him. A shadow moved across the room's threshold. Elias lunged for the nearest metal tray, gripping it like a makeshift weapon. The figure stepped into the light, tall, armored, silent, deadly. "You again," Elias muttered, already bracing. The assassin had come back, faster this time, precise, trained. His blade caught the light, reflecting in sharp flashes. Elias didn't hesitate. He swung the tray, striking the attacker's arm. The blade clanged against the metal, skidding across it. Sparks flew. The fight was close, brutal, desperate. Every hit, every dodge, reminded him of his blood-stained stand to save the princess. Every instinct told him he could not fail again. Pain tore through his side as the assassin slashed him. But Elias countered, grabbing the attacker's wrist and twisting with all his strength. The assassin stumbled, hitting the floor with a loud crash. Before Elias could recover, another shadow moved behind him, another assassin. A deadly team, two attackers, coordinated, nearly flawless. Elias gritted his teeth, rolling aside just in time. A blade scratched his shoulder. Another aimed for his leg. He ducked, kicked, and used every bit of strength left in his aching body. He knew he couldn't run. Not this time, not ever again. The room exploded with action. Glass shattered, sparks flew, metal clanged. But despite injuries and exhaustion, Elias held his ground. The first assassin lunged again. This time, Elias sidestepped and grabbed a nearby chair, swinging it with all his might. The assassin crumpled, stunned. The second attacker advanced. Elias ducked, rolled, and punched hard. The force sent the enemy into the wall. Dust and smoke filled the air. Through the chaos, a voice called out, "Elias, get back!" The queen appeared in the doorway, calm and commanding, holding a small energy weapon. Guards poured in behind her. Elias saw her. He nodded. He didn't need orders. He had one mission: protect them. The human shield the attackers regrouped, recovering faster than most humans would expect. Their training was elite, but Elias' human unpredictability was something they had not anticipated. He positioned himself between the queen and the intruders. "Back!" he shouted, voice strained. "I won't let you touch her." One assassin lunged at the queen. Elias intercepted, taking a blade to his arm and another to the leg. Pain exploded, but he held them off. The queen's eyes widened, not with fear but with understanding. She had seen many soldiers, many warriors, but humans were different. They did not serve because they had to. They served because they chose to. Elias gritted his teeth, blood running freely. He fought on, taking every strike, every slash, every blow meant for the queen. Each moment of pain sharpened his focus. The attackers paused, realizing they could not predict him, could not control him. His will was stronger than any blade, stronger than any weapon, stronger than their plans. The turning point, the queen stepped forward. She activated her energy weapon, firing precise shots that incapacitated the attackers. Her movements were calm, strategic, lethal. Elias stumbled, leaning on a pillar. He was breathing heavily, every inch of his body screaming, but he was alive. The attackers were down. The palace was safe for now. The queen walked to him, ignoring the blood and grime. She knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You could have died," she said softly. "I'm not dead," Elias replied, voice hoarse. "And I'm not leaving." The queen studied him, understanding what he meant. This was not just loyalty. This was human stubbornness, a will that refused to bend, a courage that refused to die. The queen's realization that evening in the palace council hall, the queen made her decision. The room was full of nobles, advisors, and soldiers. Tension filled the air like thick smoke. She stood, her presence commanding silence. Today, this palace survived because of one human, she began. Not because of strategy, not because of technology, not because of my guards or my soldiers. All eyes turned to Elias, sitting quietly at the back, bandaged and bruised. Because of him, she said, pointing, this kingdom lives, my daughter lives, and my family lives. Whispers ran through the room. You have no duty here, she continued, voice firm. No title, no obligation, yet he risked everything. She paused. This is how humans are. They fight for what they believe is right. They bleed for others not out of order but out of choice. Some nobles scoffed quietly, but the queen's gaze silenced them. He will remain here, she said finally, under my protection, not as a servant, not as a prisoner, not for rank. He will remain as my personal protector. The words echoed through the hall. He will have freedom, she continued. He may leave whenever he chooses, but I believe he will not. Elias' eyes met hers. He gave a faint, tired smile. No, he said, I stay. A human in the court life in the palace shifted. The human who had bled for royalty became more than a protector. He became a symbol, a reminder that humans, though smaller and weaker by some measures, had courage unmatched in the galaxy. He trained daily, despite his injuries. The princess continued to visit, learning from him, talking with him. Elias taught her lessons not of royalty but of humanity, courage, choice, resilience. The queen watched, quietly proud. She had made a choice, one that others might never understand. But in Elias she had found something rare, loyalty that could not be bought. The HFY moment weeks passed. A new threat loomed in the galaxy, a rival faction planning to strike the Aurelian Star Kingdom. The council debated endlessly. The queen turned to Elias. Will you lead the charge if it comes? He looked at the map, then at her. You don't need a human to lead, he said. You need humans to fight with you. The queen nodded. I will take that risk, she said. And for the first time, the court saw the human not as a mercenary, not as a foreigner, but as a force of nature. The princess watched him quietly, understanding what the queen had already known. Courage and choice were stronger than titles, stronger than strategy, stronger than fear, and the human who refused to die would stand for them all. Closing that night, Elias walked the palace corridors alone. His wounds were mostly healed, but his body still ached. He paused, looking out at the stars beyond the palace windows. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, unforgiving, yet he felt something he had never felt before: belonging. He had shed his blood to save a princess. He had bled for a queen, and in doing so he had found a place among stars where his courage mattered. Somewhere between the lines of duty and choice, Elias had become more than a human mercenary. He had become the reason hope survived in a galaxy that had almost forgotten it. And the queen, watching from her chambers, knew one truth that no one else did. This human would remain not because he had to, not because he served a crown, but because he chose to stand. Always.